Alright. Good thing I checked that first. I almost did a stream without starting to stream. See if it picks up here. Alright. Good thing I checked that first. I almost whoa, did a stream without starting to stream. See if it picks up here. Alright. Good thing I checked that first. I almost whoa, did a stream without starting to stream. Sorry about that. Yeah, well, this is why stickers cost so much. Sometimes you do prints and they don't turn out well because you gotta clean the printer head all of a sudden. I'm working on printing up some stickers for the con in the next couple weeks. I don't know if you can make it out. I don't know if it'll focus on there. There's just a bunch of lines where the grass should be on this sticker. The other ones are fine. Make sure on that. Yep. So luckily the rest are fine. Just 4 prints, you know, being wasted. Alright, so I'm working on this commission here I got for our friend Alex. Catching up on this. If I'm lucky, I'll get this done before con next week. Probably not. I gotta catch up on deep fat fried clips. Promote that channel and going on the Kick and YouTube. I'm just glad to be back in on that. So I'm also working with Goat versus Fish. So now I have 2 clients. Client/friends I get to work with, promoting their stuff and editing their stuff. There we go. Now I get to figure out what I'm going to do here. Make sure I get everything in order here before I start inking stuff. I don't know if I should thicken up the metal part. And that reminds me, I need to read. Speaking of that, I need to register my doggo. He's due to be re-registered again. I didn't know they had a permanent option. So, you know, if we end up leaving the state, I guess it would be kind of pointless to do more than a year. It's really shitty, because they actually charge you more for your dog not being mutilated. It's like, oh, you didn't mutilate your dog's genitals? Well, you have to pay more. Fucking bullshit. It's just like when you have an electric car, you gotta pay more to register your fucking car. Wonder who pushed that shit. It would be something oil company related, I'm sure. I gotta grab my bag. Alright. So, what's this talk about today? I have the title. The video that inspired me on this, not necessarily to watch, to get a grasp on what I'm going to talk about. Let me get the door closed here. Pulls off the other dimension. The dimension of the real. We gotta poke and prod this fucking drawing. So, Movies with Mark, it's been kind of like a, I don't know if he's an upstart channel and how long he's been around, but he's been growing steadily. Better than me, because he specifies in movies, and I kind of just specify in where the fuck I feel like. Like, another YouTuber I know of, Kazumi, kind of uses that as his YouTube expression as therapy, and I guess that's kind of how I use my shit. As a sort of like a live journal. Because it's the only other venue I feel is left where you're not necessarily feeling like you're just shouting into a void. Even if there's no one here. I think just because it lingers in search results and on your page and everything. Alright. So I gotta figure out where these fucking holes are gonna be, right? Obviously these two are gonna be here. About as even as I could feel getting in there. So just trying to go around like that. Especially as the perspective really shifts here on the other shorter end of the collar. If I get fancy, you would see. Yeah, we kind of would see in the holes. If there's enough light. So I'll do that. Let's rough it out. It's very thick holes. Yeah, so lighten that area up. I think I'll concentrate on the colors of the character first, in this case, before doing the background, so I can match it up better. And not accidentally create something that clashes or takes away from the main subject here. Alright, so we're going to have his eyebrow seen in the back here, under his hair. Over the head. Very, very big cartoonish eyes here. Alright. So what was I speaking about? Oh yeah, Movies with Mark. So he has a video that came out that kind of touched me a little bit. Called, Side Scrollers. It's a podcast for quote-unquote normal gamers. And it's been a thing that's kind of been frustrating me lately. Two crowds, the hardcore gamers, so-called hardcore gamers, and the chuds, the movie chuds. It's all getting so fucking sad. Is it not? So, the Stuttering Craig, I became aware of him through the website Screw Attack long ago, before YouTube became a monopoly. In fact, YouTube was pushing people away because of its copyright issues and claiming issues, and you know, being very hard to keep yourself monetized even after you got it. Because even then they're playing favorites with corporate entities. And people just laying claims to things they don't own, they don't actually own. I guess the collar would go. I feel like it's getting too caught up in its mouth. If anything, I feel like it should be sticking out further. Let's try and just recreate it here, huh? So, let's try to create that angle. Well, it's kind of going this way. So I guess, yeah, part of it would kind of be like, you could say it would be like sticking out. Well, it wouldn't be sticking out because it has the, yeah, that thing on it. That clasp. But yeah, they have some good shows on Screw Attack. I'll try to stay on topic and not get distracted with the process here. So they had the Game Vault, which was a retrospective on a lot of old video games for Genesis and SNES. Old even back then. Now they're even significantly older. And then they also had Angry Video Game Nerd, of course, posting his videos back when it was very questionable whether or not he would even maintain a YouTube presence at one point over fucking swearing. Go fucking figure, right? And then Death Battle spawned from that. If you look up Death Battle, you'll find plenty of videos on that. It's just pitting two famous characters and mashing them together and see who would win based on their pseudoscience. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean, like, it's just fun shit, analyzing the characters, deciding, based on their power and abilities, who would win in a fight, and trying their best to, like, evenly match them up. Though it was very amusing when they had Rainbow Dash versus Starscream from the Decepticons. I won't spoil it. It was good. I'll just say that. And then, as Screw Attack faded into obscurity and memory, with YouTube taking over and Angry Nerd making his own independent stuff, I guess they got bought out. Rooster Teeth was another thing they got involved in. And then Stuttering Craig kind of went independent himself, starting his own little streaming and podcast and everything. And I came across it just by happenstance, and I'm like, oh, cool, Stuttering Craig is back, and he's, making gaming commentary. And then he started doing weird shit. Like, I couldn't keep up with everything all the time, especially when I'm, working full-time job and trying to make a business here and everything. Then he started doing weird shit. Like, I think the thing that like, made me raise an eyebrow was going on his channel one time and seeing that he interviewed, some right-wing antagonist. One of these guys who will dress in drag and go around in public and make people feel uncomfortable. And he considers that like political activism when you make people feel uncomfortable and then try to like spin it as into like this is what the left wants. So like when he would go out in like a leotard in a Target, he would ask for like, where's the kids section? Where's the kids section for all the LGBTQ kid stuff? You're grooming children here. I want to help groom the children. And when they give him any pushback, he's like, oh, you're being homophobic. Why are you being so homophobic? And he did this, and Stuttering Craig did this interview with this guy and gave him no fucking pushback. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing, Stuttering Craig? Is this a fucking gaming show? Or are you, pandering to a specific type of demographic? And sure enough, that's what he was doing. Pandering to this, like, weird gamer crowd who's hit their midlife crisis in their mid 30s and seems to like not want to let it go. And that's one of the sad. This is how it's getting sad to me. You know, watching Stuttering Craig was born in 1981. I was born in '86, so he's only got 5 years on me. And he's like, it's like he's never grown as a person. He hasn't like taken up reading on like things of interest, or like history, or the things that he's talking about in his podcast, movie making, the creation process, you know, gaming history, anything of that would be related to his interest. No, he just lazily panders to these right-wing chuds who are terminally online, where they can only get their validation on the internet after they're done working their shitty job, whatever that may be. And that's what he does. And it's like, first of all, when you complain about like movies today or video games today and how they all suck and shit, so what? If that's how it is to you, there comes a point where it's like, why are you even engaging with it then? You know, at least Nostalgia Critic, Angry Nerd, Adam from Your Movie Sucks, Ralph Movie Maker, I Hate Everything. You know, none of those people take themselves too seriously when it comes to movie critiquing. They know it's not that important. They're not in some fucking culture war when it comes to video game and movie critiquing. You know, they'll take a piece of art, piece of media, criticize it for whatever, you know, based on like the merits of the creation itself, the effectiveness of the storytelling, gameplay, you know, telling a coherent story, you know, overall quality of the presented piece. And for Stuttering Craig and others like him, they spin it into some fucking crusade as if your fucking life depends on it. And it's to the point where it just comes off as like you're making your identity things that you enjoyed when you were 25 and under. That's your identity. Your identity is Mr. Nostalgic Man. You know, Nostalgia Critic was just a character, but people like Stuttering Craig, they're the nostalgia. They're nostalgia incarnate, and they just can't let the shit they liked before go, even though it's like never went away. In fact, they have less of an excuse now today than ever because they have full access to everything. Even at this moment, one way or another, you have access to literally every fucking movie that's been made. And plenty of movies that probably shouldn't have been made. Or even deserve to be preserved. On top of that. Same thing with all the video games. One way or another, you have access to every fucking video game that's ever been made. And there's ways to fucking play everything. I mean, a couple of years ago, I played through all of the Commander Keen games. I beat them all. Did I cheese it with saves? Damn straight I did, because it lets you do that. It's not against the rules. But I went through them all, just for the fuck of it, because I'm like, you know what? This is a game that challenged me as a child, and you know, I'm tired of it being something that like I didn't beat. So I'm gonna beat it now. All right, I think we're ready for ink. No, I'm going to make this border a little bit bigger than I initially intended to. That's fine though. I think I outlined it already for that. What is our plan to make this an 8x10? An 8x10 print. See, I don't know if I'll make prints of this. I'll probably just I'll probably let the commissioner have the original. And just have him throw me another $100, and then I'll make some stickers out of it too. He'll have a signed piece, so that way when I die, I'll be worth something. 14 and a half. By 12. Okay. Pretty much by 12. Well, there's plenty of room up the top there. Shake this baby up. Let's get the fucking pen nibs. And, you know, getting back to Stuttering Craig, though. It's like, so, not only do you have the access to every movie it's ever made, every video game it's ever made, I'm still surprised that there's so many of these people that are not even that older than me, and some people slightly younger than me, some people significantly older than me, and they're acting like that politics didn't exist in the fucking 90s. It's probably why they have such a they do such a poor job remembering things back in the 90s. One of the key points in Movies with Mark's video on Stuttering Craig was him pointing out him remembering things wrong about movies back in the early 90s and 80s and shit. You know, one person that was on the podcast was talking about the Disney Renaissance when she was, like, happening when she was a kid, and it's like the Disney Renaissance didn't include things like Snow White and Seven Dwarfs. It included things like Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and she didn't even mention those movies at all. I think she mentioned Little Mermaid. I feel like the only way they would watch things back when they grew up as a child was just passively. You know, they turn it on, they turn off their fucking brain, they start drinking, and whoever they're hanging out with, they just start talking over the fucking movie. They don't actually watch the movie, and all they do is just bitch about how much better things were back then compared to now, and that's the extent of their understanding of the media they consumed back then. That's it. Look at this animation. You can't even get animation like this anymore, man. They fucking killed it all. Now the animation that comes out, it's all fucking like woke and emotional. It's gotta be about like queers and gay people. Whatever happened back in the good old days when those people only existed as punching bags? You know, when they only existed for us to laugh and punch down on, huh? What happened to those days? Now it's all fucking political. These people who declare BioShock a non-political game when it's all fucking based around criticizing Ayn Rand, the libertarian darling. I don't fucking get it. How can you be my age, and plus that, starting Craig's case, he'd be 45, 44, somewhere around there, and you're still bitching about fucking movies and TV shows and how they were in the 90s still, and you're a podcast. You're not even just like at the bar or hanging out at your house with your friends. You're trying to fucking do a show. It's about movies and video games, and all you can do is just bitch about how things used to be and how they are now, as if anything's fucking that much different. Oh, masculinity's under attack. Where? Fucking where? Didn't we have Top Gun not too long ago? Didn't we have John Wick? Don't we have John Wick? John Wick still exists, right? It wasn't erased from fucking history. It wasn't a different dimension. That movie exists, right? They pick on fucking like little indie projects. Yeah, that's the other thing too. They bitch about how shitty mainstream movies are, but they never do anything to boost the indie projects. The shit that struggles to always get funding and make money. Most indie films don't make any money, especially if it's documentary. Okay, I'm just getting like... Let's do the fucking ink now, goddammit. It's like, oh boy, am I ready? Can I do it? Should we do it now? I was trying to, I guess I'm trying to just figure out the, you know, the shading portion here. Doing all kinds of cross-hatching, because when it comes to, like, fur, I know generally you want to do one direction for cross-hatching to decide how dark and light it's going to be. Obviously, in this case, you know, I got to get off the fucking lighting, hitting in this direction. I gotta try other things for lightings, either doing like a ghoulish lighting, or at the top and bottom, or on the left or the left side. But you know, if I did that, then this will all be in shadow. It wouldn't look right. It would look kind of too silhouetted. So, whatever. I guess one more with the lighting on the right side won't hurt. Or I start trying to do new dynamic lighting drawing techniques here. Especially when it comes to my all ages book I'm working on. Yeah, oh yeah. So I'm just going through my list here. So another thing a lot of these people will talk about, Craig and others like him, they talk about how gaming was an escape. Movies were an escape. You know, they were the nerds, they were the outcasts. It was an escape from all their woes and being picked on at school and their insecurities. And there's a bunch of people like me coming out saying, like, yeah, it was like that for us too. No, it wasn't. No, they can't comprehend that. And then, as people like us take, you know, work our way into the industry and start being able to express our stories and relatable stories as a unique perspective, something that's outside the norm, something that's, you know, oh, not the fucking same shit all the time, the shit that they keep complaining about. It's like, oh, do your own thing, do your own thing. Oh, nope, not like that. They talk about how they used to be excluded. And now they bully anyone who dares take a critical eye to the media that they indulge in. They get so defensive about it too, that you criticize, you take a critical eye to some media you enjoyed in the past or currently. You know, you examine its themes, its messaging, and these people come out of the fucking woodwork and acting like you took away their favorite toy. Like, no one's telling you what you can and cannot enjoy. If anything, the only thing that's important is why you enjoy the thing that you enjoy. Can you still like a movie when it has problematic elements? Oh shit, you can. Shit, there's not a law against it. Who would have fucking thought? Alright, let's put a little bit of a drop shadow on this tag here. And crack out my brush. Probably won't bring out the good brush for this. Probably bring out one of my other smaller disposable ones. Acrylic's not good for these other sable brushes I have, so this one works just all the same. I use the other one for watercolor, something that's a little more precise for that. And then this one we can use for make sure it's not, okay, it's not the Frisket one. Oh yeah, take a picture. Whoops. Do that first. Well, always take a picture in case you fuck it up real hard. Then you could just do a digital copy and be like, "Yep, that was my intention." Yeah, the commissioner didn't pay me specifically to do a traditional piece. I told him it was going to be traditional. That's the thing this AI shit's been leaning me towards too. I'm starting to learn how to do like lettering now too. I found a good channel that does nothing but talk about inking work and traditional inking and traditional ink coloring. Though I'm more leaning towards more of the watercolors than the India inks, because the watercolors let you re-wet things and rework it as you see fit, as opposed to the India inks. So that's kind of like where I'm going to go with it in the future. Maybe I will use my more precise brushes for this. This is a little too rough. Nope, that's my Frisket one. That's too thick. That's all too thick. Okay, fuck it. Where's my horsehair cut? Stuff. Yeah, my wild horsehair. Let's pick a bigger one. So my frustration sometimes comes from making the lines on the outside too thin, and then it's like I have to do it again, make them thicker. But if I make them too thicker to start, then you can't undo it. So it's like, what the fuck do I do? Like, I already feel like this brush, even the bigger brush I pulled out. Damn it. Too thin. And this is probably, yep, this is my ideal. My two brush. Alright, sucks, so now I got another brush I gotta clean. That's fine. Especially these horsehair ones, because, you know, I want them to live forever. And, like, acrylic is not necessarily the best thing for them. Even though it's for that. But yeah, it's like, and, yeah. Getting back to the exclusion and bullying subject matter. So, they talk about being outcast and being excluded for being gamers and shit. And what do? They act like fucking bullies on the internet to anyone trying to get into their space that's not like them. It's like they psychologically think they can't be bullies because they were bullied as a kid, or at least they perceived themselves as being bullied. When in many cases I can imagine they were just fucking, I don't know, quiet. Probably left alone at some point. I mean, I have a whole fucking section though of, you know, how I have PTSD from my elementary and grade school experience from, you know, early on up until the 9th grade. It wasn't until like mid 10th grade where things finally started calming down. And then junior year and senior year, especially senior year, because that's when I got a hold of video editing software. And that's when things really shined for me. Yeah, so high school has two major highlights. When I became vice class president, because my best friend at the time just put his name on the ballot, and that's all it took for him to win. Much to the dismay of the other students that participated in the class election. Story on that. But, and the second one was getting hold of video editing equipment and, you know, getting to work on it. There's a sign of privilege there, right? Because middle class school, South Lake High, middle class family, who bought a computer specifically for video editing, not for me, for himself. I just decided I was going to learn how to do it, because one of my friends had Pinnacle, and I was very jealous, watching him make videos and stuff, and making them good. It's like, oh shit, we finally have viable editing capabilities now that doesn't cost tens of thousands of dollars to do analog. We can do it digitally. Hell fucking yeah. And it started off small, you know, went on from there. But, yeah, movies were an escape for me. Video games were a huge escape for me. Video games were the escape for me. I would say that video games for the longest time were like the bane of my existence. Yeah, if it wasn't for my two best friends, one on the outside of school grade behind me. 3, I'd say. 3 friends. And not for the 3 of them, spare the names. Yeah, I probably would have just been a recluse, playing video games and not talking to anyone, and who knows, I probably just worked some shitty job, and this desire, this passion would just go bye-bye. Or just stagnate, and become one of those weird reclusive artists that get really sensitive if you dare critique their ability to try to help them. Who knows? There's a comment that I got in regards to saying that Elden Ring would be fine with a easy mode. It doesn't live rent-free in my head, it just came to my mind again because I saved it because it was so fucking hilarious to me, my friends, and my coworkers. It was the one time I can think of, at least at my older age, where I was just like, man, this guy really needs to get laid. Because he went off on such a tangent about why it's stupid to have to ever have an easy mode in Elden Ring. It's like you're against having more options to play, and he's like, here's a long list of different ways you could play and get better. As if it's the most important fucking thing in the world. Speaking of which, that rolls us back to Stuttering Craig and his ilk, who I imagine are primarily watched by children and very young adults. I guess some older adults that are disillusioned like they are, who again make their whole identity nostalgic for the past. It just gets sad. It's just getting really fucking sad. You know? And the ironic thing is, too, is that I can picture some of these movie reviewers that I watch on occasion. And oh, let's see what I could say here. Work on that thought. Give me a moment. Kind of lost it. Oh yeah, there it is. So yeah, I mean, it's very ironic. Like, I can picture James Rolfe doing like an angry nerd character until like his like 50s and shit, and he'd still be better than a lot of these fuckers right now that do commentary, that scour the internet for the latest headline. So some random headline, and they can stretch a 20-minute video out of it. Like, when are they just gonna get an AI bot to just do it for them? Because some of them already do. I can imagine there's probably already a bunch of these channels popping up doing the same shit, saying the same shit they are. On ad nauseum repeat. Bye. Like, is that what you're gonna be doing? You're already 45 now, Stuttering Craig. Are you gonna be 55? And talking about how awesome Terminator 2 was? Or when there's like another resurgence, because it's gonna happen. When there's like a resurgence, right, of a lot of these like what they would call dude bro movies, and we get a bunch of movies kind of like Commando and Rambo Part 2 and so forth. We get more like that. Or like they start coming across some articles about how woke is dead in Hollywood or whatever the fuck. They're gonna be celebrating. They're like, yeah, man, the new iteration of the Ninja Turtles is so fucking anti-woke. They got a fucking hot babe playing April O'Neil this time, just like they did in the 80s. Remember the 80s? When the Ninja Turtles had the yellow jumpsuit April, they brought it back. They brought it back again. Movies are healing. She's white. She's a white April. They brought the white April back. Yeah, there's a sad iteration for you. I came across some fucking chud channel who uses a Ninja Turtle as their fucking avatar. The rant Sona, as some people would describe it. And you know, it didn't take long to hear a video. I was curious about the artist that did Cerberus, because I heard about Cerberus and I was thinking, no, maybe I should look into that. And it doesn't seem like something I should look into. Sounds like a bunch of long-winded garbage. You know, especially since the creator went off the deep end. But of course, this person I'm talking about that does a YouTube channel, he defends him. Almost like a fucking incel. Which reminds me, you know, there was a new Battlestar Galactica that came out. I think it was 2011. And the character Buck Rogers, I think it was his name. There's a character in there that's played by a woman actor. And the original actor who played Buck Rogers in the 70s version of that show went on a fucking tirade that's very reminiscent to a lot of things that these chuds would say today about how, like, masculinity is being taken away from them somehow. As if there's a war on masculinity, whatever the fuck that means. Yeah, there just comes a point where it's just either expand your knowledge in at least one of the realms of your interest, you know, movie history, psychology, sociology, art, just a business in video game and movie development. I mean, isn't this your job? Shouldn't you be getting better? Like, I'm just noticing some improvement on my art. So, and like, the learning never stops. I'm gonna be watching more fucking like inking tutorials and suggestions on how to like sell my business and shit tomorrow while I do the day job, and I'll be probably listening to them more of them tomorrow after that, the day after that. Like, one of the reasons I improved my thumbnail game is because TJ and I don't know who else was involved in that. They made a fucking document describing all the problems I had with my my thumbnail aesthetic. And I'm like, okay, I'll take that to heart, and like immediately, literally, pretty much immediately, the next one I gave him, he's like, holy shit, I'm impressed. I would do this and this different, but yeah, this is a huge fucking improvement in what you've been doing. And it's like Stuttering Craig and them, they could be so much fucking better. But instead, they rather pander to a crowd that's gonna fucking turn on them in a second once they find a subject that's too far for them. Whether it's you know, executing undesirables in the street, or letting trans people exist, or letting queer people exist. And that was one thing that Movies with Mark didn't touch on. Probably because it would require a whole different video altogether. And plus, I think he just wants to focus on the movie commentaries specifically, and not get off on something unrelated to that, which is fine. But they used to have a fucking co-host on this podcast who was gay, and I don't know what his actual name was or what his streamer name, podcast name was, but he was essentially the gay token on that podcast. And he would argue in defense of fucking homophobes who want him dead, who advocate for his marriage rights to be taken away, advocate for my marriage rights to be taken away, you know, constantly criticize their existence in any fucking you know, media form, and he would run defense for them. And then I saw a clip of him debating Rich from Review Tech USA, who's back, by the way. And another commentator, Rich Review Tech USA, and he was like, and this gay co-host, just like, you're a homophobe because you know, blah blah blah. I can't remember what the fuck his argument was, calling Rich a homophobe for calling him a token. That's what it was, because Rich was pointing out that he's being tokenized and used as a fucking he was being used like Captain America's shield when it came to any kind of criticism of their transphobia and homophobia on their stupid podcast. He's like, no, you're homophobic for even just saying I'm a token on there. And another streamer, black streamer, called him out. I say he's black because it's specifically related to what he brings up. He's like, you know, the way you're acting, right? There's plenty of black people that would do the same things that you're doing. We'd be calling you an Uncle Tom. You know, we'd be calling you a coon, whatever. And he kind of like, he couldn't respond. He couldn't comprehend that accusation. And I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but apparently he left that podcast. He had a mental breakdown. He's probably just still like self-loathing and self-hating himself for being queer. And thinking he's one of the boys. But if you join any comment section or forum long enough, you'll start seeing you ain't one of the boys. No, they effectively eventually want you to suffer and go away. You're a useful idiot at best. And it's just such a disappointment. Because it's just another list of disappointments for me. And watching someone that inspired you, seeing him like grow and succeed, and then comes back, and it's, I don't know what the fuck to even call it. Just comes back as a fucking grifter. Where, you know, I'm sure he believes in some of it, otherwise he wouldn't be doing it at all, right? And it doesn't matter either way. He's platforming pieces of shit. He's promoting shitty ideas. He has nothing but surface level critiques of the media he pretends to enjoy. And I don't know, I would just go fucking nuts. That was my job. You're gonna. I tried doing the whole movie news thing at one point, really early on. We're talking like 2009. I tried doing the fucking movie news thing, and I lasted for about a month. Where it's like, man, I cannot sum up a fuck to give about what's happening in the movie industry. I think the last video I did on that was like something about like 3D movies dying. I certainly didn't come at it with a fucking culture war sense. Like it was the goddamn end of the fucking world. Because a gay guy existed in a fucking movie. Or Brokeback Mountain happened, or whatever the fuck. Just such a fucking weird... Yeah, it's just a fucking weird mindset. You know, like, it's a mindset that a lot of my friends had in high school. I had it for a brief moment, too. Where it's like, you hate everything. Everything sucks now. Everything was so much better before then, and, like, everything now is just a fucking copy. Oh, yeah, Halo sucks. Everyone loves Halo, but it sucks on the merit of it being popular. You know, Linkin Park was okay, but then they became too popular. Oh, Mudvayne was awesome, but then they made a music video, and that's selling out. They sold out. They made a music video, that's selling out. Like, do you not want your fucking favorite band to, like, succeed? Or do you want them to, like, have to work at Subway in between jam sessions and having only like one jam session a week on Saturdays or every other Saturday, and they can't, like, they crank out an album once every I don't know, 15 years because they can't get enough success to sustain themselves because they just refuse to sell out, man. Like Ticketmaster sucks, but it's the only if it's the only game in town, the only way you can get your tickets out there to be sold, and you're gonna have to fucking bite that bullet, right? But it's like Stuttering Craig and the like just didn't leave that mindset. They're still bitching about how everything sucks now. And at what point? At what point you gotta look at things and go like, let's make our own thing. And some of them have. I think it was Critical Drinker that came out with some shitty movie that no one gave a shit about. It's like, hey, at least they did it right. I mean, I gotta give them credit for that. At least they put their money where their mouth was and said, hey, you know what? We don't like what's coming out of Hollywood. We're gonna make our own movie, and it's gonna have a whole bunch of tired tropes that's been done and has all the things that we complain about when it comes to other action movies. That all everything feels the same. It's like everything feels the fucking same because you won't expand your goddamn scope. You spend your days scouring articles and talking about the latest thing because it's the only thing that gets you fucking clicks. And you don't use that as like a springboard to promote anything more interesting. You don't use it as like a way to promote indie films. I guess because they'd be too what, pretentious for you? They might have some themes or ideas in it that make you feel uncomfortable. Did any of these people, you know what, I gotta, you know, man, I really want to pause. I want to look up if they did any, like, review of, like, um, I saw the TV Glow. I want to see if they did a review on something like that. I'm almost positive that they did a review on Sinners, and either, they probably, you know, talked about how good it was. I'm sure they, you know, when it comes to a movie that's just undeniably well made, they'll absolve it from any supposed wokeness, and they'll bend over backwards to talk about how like non-political it is. Well, which they mean is just like it doesn't challenge them in any way. That's all it means when they say that. At least in their heads, it doesn't challenge any viewpoints they have. Yeah, tell me how Blade Runner isn't political. And they go off, and there's probably videos of them going off on like media literate people. Oh, the media literacy crowd's at it again, telling us what we can and cannot watch. Like no one fucking said that. Yes, they did. Here they're saying there's problematic themes in this movie. That means you're a bad person if you watch it. Where do they say that? Do they say that in their article or whatever, or do they say it after you fucking tag them on Twitter and your acolytes and shit harass them? When do they say that? Oh wow, you found some obscure Twitter user with 5,000 followers or some shit. I don't even care if they have 50,000, whatever. And then they said you're a weirdo if you like these movies. You're problematic if you like these movies. It's like, so fucking what? No one's forcing you to interact with these people, these strangers online. Why don't you go out and actually find friends and hang out with them in real life, and not just on a Discord server? At least all the people I interact with, I know in some way or another I can at least know that I might hear them someday, and I might even see them someday. And I wish I could hang out generally in a lot more chat rooms and just like, you know, shoot the shit with someone rando, and that'd be nice. But you know, at the end of the day, if I'm doing that, I'm not drawing, and if I'm doing that, I'm also not streaming and, you know, trying to make a business and promote myself. And then, you know, eventually it'll come down to like, hey, do I want to you know, use my extra time to get some work done. And on top of that, spend some time with my actual family, my immediate family. You know, the ones that help take care of me and I take care of them. We take care of our doggo and the house and all that. You know? Or do I want to spend time in a fucking chat room with a bunch of strangers and argue some bullshit? About how everything sucks now. All the video games are woke and gay. All the movies are woke and gay. Remember Terminator 2? Remember Terminator 2? Remember Star Wars? You remember Star Wars? Oh, that Last Jedi. Oh, that Last Jedi. That Last Jedi movie. Even though our main complaint of Force Awakens was that it was too much like A New Hope. And then Last Jedi was actually going a different direction. Oh, it was so bad because it went a different direction. It didn't have a 75-year-old Luke Skywalker fight a laser battle with a bunch of ATT walkers or whatever, STD walkers. That's what I'm going to call them now. I'm going to call them STD walkers. See how many nerds come and correct me on that. STD walkers, that's what they are now. Oh. Especially, I don't know, like who's well, aside from them, I guess. Even sometimes I even doubt they even watch the shit they talk about. Cause I sure as hell don't have time to watch all these fucking shows like they think they do, or they pretend to at least. It's like what? How many seasons of Loki are there? There's Loki. There's WandaVision. And a whole slew of other fucking movies. Yeah. See, I never got Marvel or superhero fatigue because I actually just focused on watching the ones that were interesting to me. So I never saw Batman versus Superman. I thought it looked mediocre because I didn't like how Man of Steel turned out overall. And the reviews that kept me away from it. Same thing with the Justice League movie. Same thing with the Flash movie. I really would like to do a review of the Flash movie and do a comparison to the animated Flashpoint Paradox because, man, that was so good. And I can't imagine that Ezra Miller, whatever the fuck his name is, and the actor who played Flash, I can't imagine that being anywhere near on par. But yeah, Stuttering Craig and all of them, it's just getting sad. It really is. It's getting sad. Stop making nostalgia your identity. Expand your horizons. It's like, how can you sit there and yeah, I don't know. I think I'm reaching the end here. I just need to get that off my chest. It's tired. Tired of hearing the you know, eventually it got to the point where it's like ruined my fucking I just can't stand. I can't take I can't take any like movie criticism anymore from these people or any takes in general actually for anyone. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to watch the goddamn movie and decide for myself whenever I find one that's interesting to me, whenever I have time. And it's like, and when it's something I like, I'm not gonna fucking I'm not gonna sit there and listen to someone I don't know shit on a movie I like or shit on a show I like. Now, if it's analyzing it, if it's like, taking like a critical eye on it and like relating it to themes of the real world and stuff, now that shit's interesting to me. You know, let's go through some of the story arcs in a sitcom or a long series. But you know, as far as like the downfall of Last Airbender, the downfall of Metroid. Aside from the games I don't like, yeah, I'm not gonna fucking put myself through that bullshit. You know, if I don't like something, I'm just not gonna play it. I'm not gonna watch it. So so difficult. But there's like this crowd for some reason that just wants to see the actors and the artists and the writers. It's not that they write a movie and it doesn't do well financially. They want to see them like suffer, as if they punched their mom in the face or something. You put a gay character in this movie. Now you should die. This actor said something unsavory in an interview. This movie should be boycotted. This movie should fail, and oh my goodness, it doesn't matter how much money it makes, we're just going to say it failed and make ourselves feel better. You know, sorry that James Gunn understands comic books better than Zack Snyder did and made a perfect trilogy with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, 2, and 3. You know, sorry he knows Superman well enough to make a good fucking Superman movie that's, I would say, it brought me back to the animated series. Something these people pretend to like. They pretend to know about. Which I'm sure they remember it wrong. They just be like, there's never any politics in Superman. There's never any moment where Superman got, like, pummeled and destroyed. It's like, oh, okay, so you didn't watch it then. You never watched you never read the comics. You never watched the show. I get it, alright? You're the tourist. You're the tourist that rode off, that's riding off your success. Because he said enough of the right things to pander to a certain crowd. Gives you money to give them a circle jerk. Stroke their little pee-pee. And now you're to the point where you can just be a lazy little fuck. And, you go on Twitter. You go on Rumble or wherever the fuck. You see what the vibe is on a certain property. Do people like it? Are people hating it? Okay, so that's my angle. People are, people are hating it. All right. Oh, another Hollywood stinker has hit the waves, and it is failing at the box office. You know, people are definitely not liking this Predator's Badlands. Yeah, the reviews are in, and of course, Rotten Tomatoes. Well, they gave it a positive score of 68. We all know that all these critics are bought out and uncredible, because the fans, the true fans, are out there, and they're just being ignored. They're being shut down. They're being called misogynistic and homophobic for not liking this new Predator movie. Because it's obvious that they made the Predator gay and woke. And they have a disabled woman in there. She's got no legs. Because, we gotta have a brave disabled person. Otherwise it's ableist. Oh, they're saying the movie's good? Oh. Well, looks like we got a victory here for us. Predator Badlands came out. People are loving it. I guess for once, Rotten Tomatoes is giving it a good score. Broken clocks right twice a day. Yeah, people are loving the fanfare, staying true to the to the lore. Establish it with Predator in the 80s. Remember the 80s? Remember the first Predator movie? Remember Arnold Schwarzenegger? Remember that? Remember Predator 2? Remember that? Remember Aliens? Remember that? Oh, that was so good. Badlands, yeah, Badlands is really good, everybody. Yeah, looks like maybe things are getting better. Our wounds are healing as true fans. Yep, here's a quote from the director who's definitely going to make the libs cry, saying he wasn't out to make like a political statement with his movie. He was just out to make a good story. And therefore that means he's against every progressive stance that could ever exist. And he's all in favor of pushing back against the woke mind virus. Congratulations, everybody. Everybody give yourself a round of applause. We did it. We did it. We won. We can all go home. Oh, wait. What's this? An article on a new Ghostbusters? They're gonna do what? No, they can't do that. That's not how it was in the 90s. Or the 80s when it came out. No, they can't do that. It's against the law. Well, you just gotta vote with your wallet, everybody. The free market of ideas. Well, they're coping right now. They're saying the movie was a success in the box office, and it did this much, but it didn't really do this much. It didn't do this much. It didn't do this much overseas. Like, who the what point is this? Who the fuck gives a fucking shit? Like, I'm all for talking about bullshit, watching some like fun lore videos on Warhammer 40K and History of Judge Dredd and all that shit. That's all fun. That's fine. But goddamn, just taking it so goddamn seriously. Even the people, the people you hate so much, the media literacy people, they may take their like job and their analysis seriously, but they're not taking themselves that seriously. At least all the ones I watch, they're not out there acting like they're some fucking warrior. Out to claim the moviescape in the name of Karl Marx. It is funny though how much of it is it's got you though whenever you ask any of these people what the definition of something is, whether it's woke or communism or whatever the subject boogeyman is of the day. Pick one. They'll say something stupid about it, but preferably don't even waste your time because it validates their fucking existence. And I look forward to the day where people like Stuttering Craig either, like, I don't know, move on, disappear, or they start walking their shit back slowly, realizing that they're losing their audience or some shit like that. Or maybe they'll end up like Shadiversity, where he's just constantly complaining about how the YouTube gods are against him and suppressing their message. Yeah, well, if that's the case, then YouTube's suppressing a lot of lefty messages, aren't they? Hey, Dalen. That documentary echoes in my mind again. American Meme. Where one of these people they're interviewing saying, does the line, You know, a lot of the end games for these people are going to be real sad. It's like, yeah, you're getting paid thousands of dollars to show up and spray champagne on a bunch of girls' tits, but, you know, and organize these parties. But what happens when you're 50 and no one wants you near them, let alone touching them? And you got no other skills. You know, you got no other skills. You're the old influencer now? I guess I don't know. Start doing some Depends commercials. Who knows what's going to look like for some of these people? They're probably hawking fucking retrocade devices. Where you can play all your fucking old video games and old movie commercials and just advertisements that make you feel young again. Before everything went woke and gay. Speaking of which, though, that was one thing I almost looked over that I titled the video about. We need to put Stuttering Craig in the Disney camp. I was watching this video, or listening to this video about the Disney town, company town, where like you're paying like I don't know how many thousands of dollars every fucking month to live in this town in one of their houses, where aesthetics are enforced with an iron fist. The grass is always a certain length. Your attitude has to be a certain way. Just look up the movie Stepford Wives and like how everyone's just acts in that movie. Maybe even like Pleasantville. And that's where Stuttering Craig needs to go. I think he'd be happy there. Because it's all about maintaining a certain aesthetic. You know, nothing ever changes. All the terrible shit happening in the world gets swept away. You don't have to hear about it. You can just sit in your little Disney chamber, masturbate to fucking Laura Croft's tits and Tifa Lockhart's tits before they made them woke and gay. You can just jerk yourself off in your little Disney house. You know? Put that grifter money to good use. Make your retirement there. Or you can just fucking grift at your house, at your little Disney house. Talk about how everything is so much better now. Be your little Stepford self. You know, Christianity is the dominant religion here in Disneyland. In my little Disney realm. Everyone's so pleasant and nice. Everyone's happy here. I'm happy. I don't know why there's no negativity allowed here. It's against the law to be negative. They'll kick you out if you're negative. Don't ever think bad thoughts. Don't think bad thoughts. Don't ever think bad thoughts. And that could be Stuttering Craig. Yeah. I think that suits him. I guess I'm just going to say this now because sometimes in a way it acts like a shield. But I love the idea of him possibly coming across this and just like picking apart some clips and some shit and put me on blast. Because that would be fucking amusing as fuck to me. And the glory he would give me would be amazing. Probably open some doors for me. And he wouldn't give a shit. He's like, whatever, I made my money and now he's making his. And we can be antagonists, and like I could legitimately hate his ass and make videos on him, and he could like ride and piggyback off of me and be like, oh, CraftyAndy's at it again. Look at how unhinged he is. Oh man, CraftyAndy destroyed. What's up? The girl that Claire wanted to join our relationship and a boyfriend. So you closed it. It's just going to be us, to be honest. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I mean, as long as everyone's on board and honesty. As long as everyone's communicating, it's generally the main key sustainer of any relationship, really, is just honesty and communication. You know, as my parents told me, when you're getting married, you should be marrying like one of your best friends, so to speak. You know, my mom told me my dad's her best friend, and my dad told me my mom's. Well, my mom told me that dad is her best friend, and vice versa. There we go. So I took that with me because some people get hung up on the idea. They get friendly with a girl and they're like, oh man, what if I ruin it by hooking up with her? And it's like, yeah, well, that can happen. But that's why you take things at a pace enough to get to know each other and know where your ethics are, and then you work your way from there. I'm so glad I chose to do this today. I was like, if I did deep fat fry clips tonight, I would have been pretty bad with them. I probably would have been forcing myself to do it. This helps me exercise a little bit more, so I can do those tomorrow a lot better. Yeah. Let's get these nostrils done. And then I'm probably going to call it from here. Just my picture of the real dog. Shit. Must be somewhere on the sheet. Oh, if I have to make corrections, I'll make corrections. Shouldn't have to, though. Put some like little half circles here. Spots on his muzzle. Alright, I think we'll leave it at that. Oh, let me get the outside here. I think the final thing I could say about this whole like Chudaverse, the Chudaverse, it's just like witnessing these people who are successful, and then feeling like they don't have to grow as people. In terms of like empathy and understanding of those that are different from them. It just really, it stunts your growth, and it makes you vulnerable for things like conspiracy theories, superstition, even. Just being taken advantage of and taken for a ride if you otherwise wouldn't be on board. Like, if you know the history of this fucking country in any capacity, the last thing you'd be doing right now is cheering on the United States going into Venezuela and kidnapping the fucking president there. And if you do know the history and you're still cheering it on, then fuck. All I can say is that that just says a lot of terrible shit about you as a person. Because like a lot of people that do know the history and cheer it on, they're just like, yeah, that was the U.S. kicking ass. It's like, okay, buddy, are you going to benefit from that? Did the people of Spain benefit from Christopher Columbus's expeditions? Whatever gold and jewelry and slaves he got, did the people of Spain benefit? Did their wages go up? Did food prices go down? Do you think that's going to happen now? Do you think you're going to have like some kind of retirement boon because they kicked a bunch of immigrants out of the country, of the state? So where the fuck are your brains? I wouldn't be surprised if Stuttering Craig and all of them had something to say about Renee Good's shooting, even though he's supposed to be a video game podcast, right? Like I don't expect, and I don't feel it's like their wheelhouse to really commentate on effectively. It'd be nice if they did, but you know, that being said, he's the one that puts himself out there enough in a way that he should have something to say about it. I wouldn't be surprised if he's just like, oh man, well, she was interfering. Renee Good was interfering with the officer. That's why she should get shot in the face. It's like, oh yeah, she had such... yeah, she was going to really try to run down the ICE agent in front of a bunch of other ICE agents that also have guns, right? That was her thinking? She was going to run over that guy, the one guy, and no one was going to do anything about it? That's what happened? That's what you think happened in her fucking head? Or is it she getting conflicting orders and was told to move, and another person telling her to get out of the car, and she was moving like she was being told to do, and some asshole saw an opportunity. Or because he's so poorly trained, he thought the car was coming towards him when it wasn't. Like, it doesn't make any... If something doesn't make sense, it's probably not true. And it wouldn't make any sense for her to do, to, like, run down ICE agent. Just like, the nurse that got shot. It wouldn't make any sense for him to just plan on murdering ICE agents, but put himself in a position where he gets surrounded by 5 of them, disarmed, and then shot to death. But, you know, I wonder what Stuttering Craig says about all that. I wonder what him and his fucking morons say about that. Do you think they would offer any kind of nuance? Do you think they would say anything like I'm saying right now about it? No. That would get their audience upset. They might lose some money. They might lose some donations. They can't have any fucking principled stance on anything ethical. Why would they give a shit? You know, life worked out for them. They won life. Why think about things? Why challenge anything? Why rock the boat? Doesn't matter what anything, how shit gets worse in this country. They'll be fine. Stuttering Craig and you know, even a lot of these lefty commentators, you know, as well as good natured as they are, as much advocacy that they're doing. Straight white, you know, the cards are in your favor, and especially you're in favor of what's happening. You know, doesn't matter who the regime is. Doesn't matter if it's Trump. Doesn't matter if it's fucking Gavin Newsom next year. You think he's gonna, if Gavin Newsom like keeps up with the fucking ICE and doesn't defund it, doesn't abolish it like people are calling for right now? Do you think he's gonna put up with any protests? Maybe. Surface level, maybe. But if anything, he'll probably end up cracking down on it, just like Biden did with the Palestine protests before he got out of office. And a lot of these trudges don't like to talk about that. They talk about the non-existent open borders policy that Biden had, even though ICE was still existing back then. If it was an open border policy, why was ICE still operating? What sense does that make? Doesn't make much sense. Therefore, it's probably not true. Right? You had an open border policy. Look at these immigrants that got caught breaking through the border. That's the open border policy. It's like, okay, they got caught, and they're being deported back. What part of that is the open border policy? If I break into a bank safe, do they have an open bank safe policy? For the sake, for the virtue of me just breaking through? Is that it? Is that how that works? Is that what that means? Who the fuck's buying this shit, man? Who's fucking buying it? Who really is buying it? What dumb fuck is buying that rhetoric? Anyways, I gotta go to bed. I gotta clean these brushes and go to bed. I know what time it is. It's probably 10 o'clock. Yep, there it is. It would. Illegals running through random people's backyards, and some of them would cartel members. Yeah, well, part of that's the open border policy, though. If they get arrested, if they still get arrested and deported for the last 50 years now, what part of that was an open border policy? You know, all the way back, even before 2003. Before 2003, there was no ICE. There was still Border Patrol. I don't remember the time where they retired the Border Patrol and said, everybody in. When did that happen? And cartel members, who the fuck cares? You got billion-dollar pharmaceutical companies that created the fentanyl crisis that exists in this country that pay no taxes. Who do you think killed more people? And how many of the people crossing the border that with no shoes and no shirt, like the Haitian refugees? How many of them were just cartel members? But just some